Hi, welcome to RCKicks on this snowy, brisk, cold morning. In this episode, we're going to be diving into this, the CR-01. This is the rock socket version. Now, there's been a few versions of this chassis being released, but it is the only CR version ever released. Make of that what you will. Now, this was designed back in 2007, and the first time we saw this was 23rd of April 2008, and that was the Toyota Land Cruiser 40 under kit 58405. Sorry, I've got my notes down here. Then we got it on the classic Unimog 406, which was the U900. Then it was released on 58429, which is the Jeep Wrangler. That was January 2009, so a little bit of the American flavour in there. Then we got the Ford Bronco 1973 under fit 58436. That's my favourite, I think. The actual body is beautiful looking. That was January 2009. Then we got this one, which was 58592, and this came out on the 1st of May 2014. And then the last version of this was the Toyota FJ Cruiser, which we saw on the 30th of May 2015, and we haven't seen it since. So this one came out in 2014. So in this episode, we're going to build up the chassis, and to give you a little hint, it didn't go too well. So the first thing you've got to be careful of when you're building these, you see this little slot here, make sure they are parallel. This goes into here like this and attaches to the other side. So when you put them in here, make sure, like the diagram, it is horizontal, as I did 3 of them wrong. You've got to take them out and do them again, because this bar goes across from one side to the other and links them. It's like an anti-roll bar in this kit. Now, I've never built anything like this before by Tamiya, so it's a whole different learning curve for me, but there you go. So one to watch out for. Another one to be mindful of is at the front, it is 3 spacers and then mount, and then it's 3 screws. On the back, it's 2 and only 2 screws. So make sure that you get the front and the back done correctly, as I did the 2 spacers on the front. Then I realized there's 3 screws, and then I had to change it all as well. So that's another thing to be careful of. So I made another mistake. These are not this way. So that is not a representation of that. What this is actually that. So that is upside down. So those go down, not up, which I guess you can kind of see when you look at it like this. But I have gone and done it like that. So it means I've got to take that off, that off, that off. And I've got to do it twice. So be careful. It would have been nice if Tamiya had actually put a flat on image, not a tilted image, because yes, it kind of does look like it goes down, but it also kind of looks like it goes up as well. So there you go. So I've got to change that. So there you go. That's one done. So that's what it actually should look like. Yeah, now I've got to do the other one. So there you go. That's what it should actually look like. Finally got there, and I seem to have gone backwards almost all the way that I've gone forwards. So just be careful, don't make the same mistake as me. Another little tip for you that almost caught me out, you have to put captive nuts in. 1 there, 2 there, and then 2 at the back. Now they do fall out, so when you're messing around with the chassis, be careful you don't tip it over, otherwise one could fall out. And once it's fallen out, when you put the rail on and you start bolting it up, if you miss one, you'll have to take the rail off to get access to put it back in again. So just be careful, because if you don't notice, especially the middle ones, you will do it all up and then you'll have to undo it all over again. It almost caught me out up here, but luckily it was still in there. Just be careful. Another thing to be careful of, I'm not doing too well today in this build, is when you're trying to make sure all the nuts are in place and you bolt it all up, don't forget to add the 2 bars in. So now I've got to undo a rail to take it off to then do it, but I've used thread lock, so I've got to sort that out. So just be careful, don't make all these mistakes like me. Oh! So it's finally starting to take shape. It seems to be taking forever. I've had to order some servos, so I've just got it sitting there waiting for the servo so I can fit it when it arrives. Shouldn't be too difficult. I've upgraded the plastic bushes that you get that's supposed to be here. I did have a load left over, metal ones, so I've upgraded to metal. So it should be, might as well use them since I've got them. Now we've got to do the same on the rear. Mistake number 5. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. Anyway, it was to do with closing the housing. Now, the BD11 plate, the metal plate that basically holds the motor in place, wouldn't close against the A4 housing. and it just wouldn't close for love nor money. It was a little bit short, and then I tried to do it up and it just felt wrong, and then it locked up the actual gears itself, so I took it out. I thought it was the BD7 2415 bearings. In between the two bearings is a BD16 15 by 0.3 millimeter shim, and I thought maybe the shim had moved around or something. Anyway, I took it out, put it in, took it out, made no difference. Eventually I just gave up completely and I dismantled it totally. I took out the center shaft, disconnected it all, dismantled it completely, rebuilt it all again, and then it closed fine. So I'm going to say it wasn't my fault, even though, yeah, I did something wrong, but I have no idea what I did wrong. But when I rebuilt it again, it was fine. The only thing I could think of maybe is there's actually a pin that goes through the center shaft, and it had actually come out and turned and wasn't in the slot. That's the only thing I can think of. But I burned the best part of 40 minutes trying to fix this. So just be a bit careful and don't force that plate. And that's the chassis finally done. Now I've just quickly cut out the body, mainly because Tamiya did the arches for me already, and everything is pretty straight, so it takes 2 seconds just to trim it up to fit it. Now I've wanted to fit the body quite low, so I've made it low as I can get it, where it's just clearing the rails, because I don't want to have it quite as high as Tamiya have designed it, as I just like it to be more hunkered down. It is really good looking with this body, I must admit I do like it. And in the next episode, what we're going to do is I'm going to push the boat out on this one and try and do as much detail as I can from a painting side of it. So it's going to take a while, but I'll run through all the stages. I want to do the bars all individually, and I want to make it as good as I can. Now, one thing I found while messing around with the body, which I really like about this chassis, is it's basically totally flat across the top. So you can actually fit pretty much any Tamiya body to this. You just raise and lower the what do you call these, the mounting points, and you can change the body to anything you want. Now I did trim them a bit longer than it said in the manual, so that I can actually play around, as you could pretty much put any body you like on it. And I think that would be a really cool project to do something a little bit quirky and a little bit different down the line. But the chassis build itself, I really enjoyed it. Frustrating, yes, I made loads of mistakes. I'm not sure why. I don't know if I just wasn't concentrating enough or what. But hey, I like to show you my good points and my bad points, so that if you're building this, you don't waste as much time as I did building the chassis up. But it's definitely a looker. I'm not sure how well this suspension is going to function, but it definitely looks the part. I think maybe upgrading the shocks might be a way to go. I do like the springs. The shocks seem to have a little bit of play in them before they actually kick in, so you get this kind of wobble effect. But I don't know, if you've got one of these and you've upgraded a few bits and pieces, comment below what's the best upgrades to do on it. Is the dampers probably the first place to go to, or is there something else? So in the next episode, we'll fit all the electronics, fire it up, and get this body done. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and don't forget that bell notification, as you don't want to miss this one. See you on the next one. Bye bye.